Hey guys, Tyro here, and today we're taking a look at the version 5.0 changes for the new Commander mod. Starting out, we have US forces, the Dozer Blade. Dozer Blade will now increase armor to be in line with tanks such as the Sherman 105. Now increases armor from 160/80 to 215/105. So it's a pretty noticeable armor buff now on the Dozer Blade. Like, that is a good chunk of armor. So I think this certainly puts the Dozer Blade over the top as a very worthwhile upgrade. Because before, it was kind of like hit or miss. You get the extra bit of health, but you move a lot more slowly. So I think with the extra armor now, this is definitely a very worthwhile upgrade for the Bulldozer or Dozer Blade. M4 white phosphorus shells, ability recharge from 10 to 20. So I guess let's just stop outright spam on it there. And ranges. To create uniformity amongst elite USF infantry, we are allowing rangers to pick up more potent bazookas. Now have access to paratrooper bazookas when picking them up from weapon racks or from drops. So the paratrooper bazookas do plus 20 damage, plus 30 penetration. So that makes them quite a lot better than the regular bazookas. So, just mainly minor tweaks to the US Forces commanders there, nothing too big. But yeah, maybe that gives you a reason to go for triple bazookas, because that's the thing. Rangers can pick up 3 bazookas. So it's like 300 damage potential in one volley. It could be quite lethal. That does still leave stuff like light vehicles, 320 health light vehicles, still alive at 20 health. Same with tanks. If they take 2 full volleys, they'll still be alive on 40 health, but a snare here or there does make all the difference. So that could be, a way to use the Rangers going forward. British 81mm mortar. Command point requirements of the mortar is being removed to match the arrival of its counterparts. CP requirement from 1 to 0. M5 half track. This unit is receiving buffs. See Soviet section below. And 6-pounder AT gun. With sappers being equipped with anti-vehicle snares, the 6-pounder no longer requires its bonus against light vehicles, bonus of 50% removed against light vehicles. So yeah, it used to be the 6-pounder had 50% against all targets, then it got removed just to light vehicles, but now sappers have got snares. It's going back to nothing. This is a good change. For me at least, playing against Brits, extremely frustrating, because I think any vehicle larger than the Kubel, the AT gun, even at max range, was a 100% chance to hit. So you never get those lucky escapes. It was just like guaranteed your light vehicle is dead. So now it's a chance to miss at max range on light vehicles. Should be able to get away. I feel that's good, because the combination of the snares, the AEC, and the 6-pounder never missing made using light vehicles as offset basically completely worthless. Just way too hard to execute. So looking forward to trying these out, seeing how that changes things. AT gun actually having a chance to miss shots close to max range. The marked radio bunker. With recent feedback, we are lowering the cost of the bunker and giving the bunker camouflage to make it difficult to detect. Cost from 300 to 200, so big manpower cost reduction there. Health from 960 to 480. So it's getting cheaper, but easier also to destroy. I think that's fair enough. It's automatically camouflaged until units are within 20 meters of the bunker after being constructed. So, I did only play a couple games with the version 4.0. Didn't quite manage to squeeze the bunker into the build when I went for this commander. So 200 manpower, I think that's a little bit more affordable. Certainly will make it worthwhile. And camouflage could be pretty good. Probably going to have like a rough idea if you keep popping off flares as to where the bunker is, but it should make it a little bit harder to spot. Maybe that will make it less vulnerable to off maps if your opponent can't spot it. Recon planes, though, do reveal camouflaged units, so recon plane into bombing run. We'll still be able to destroy this bunker. OKW, Infrared STG-44 replaces tactical movement. This ability is more appropriate than in previous iterations due to the Tiger being behind Tier 4. It should also allow this doctrine to field a variety of viable infantry compositions. So STGs are coming back. Tactical movements going out. I think a lot of people were concerned about the double Shrek Fusiliers with tactical movement knocking out vehicles. And if you guys saw my cast with Loveness and Momo against Airfield and Sully, I think, the double Shrek squads did seem very powerful with the sprint in that game. So fair enough. Panzer Fusilier's timed sprint ability replaces passive sprint at Vet 5. Requires Vet 5. Sprint lasts for 5 seconds. So tactical movement lasts 20 seconds, maybe 30. So give you a long time to close distance. Now they have just a short sprint, 5 seconds only, from replacing the passive sprint. This does make the Fusiliers a little bit worse as like a capping squad. That was something quite nice once they got to Vet 5. You could just run around the map capping with them. But the thing with the passive sprint though is it will wear off when you're in combat. So this does give you a chance to sprint forwards and Shrek. It's just you're not going to be able to sprint forwards from the other side of the map and then Shrek. So it's a bit of a rejig on these abilities. I'm honestly not sure which one's better. Man, that sun is coming in at such an awkward angle for me. Soviets weapon crate. The crate has been modified to benefit additional Soviet unit types. Engineer SVTs do not count as slot items. Ensures the upgrade does not interfere with minesweepers or flamethrowers. It's good. Don't want to be dropping your flamethrower because you got SVTs on the engineers. You definitely want your sweepers out at all times if you're using Sweeper Squad. Previously undocumented change. Penals picking up the crate replaces the SVTs with Shock Trooper PPSH 41s. Takes up 1 weapon slot. That seems very strong. Very, very strong. We saw the performance of PPSH paratroopers, and they're very strong, so I imagine this is going to be very, very similar. The Penal's not going to have smoke to close distance. It's going to be a little bit harder for them to close distance, but they might have better veterancy. They might have better accuracy bonuses. I don't know, that seems like it will be very strong for Penals picking up a PPSH crate. General faction changes. Yeah, a couple more getting shoehorned in, similar to the Black Panzer and P-Greens last time. Soviet general faction changes. Conscripts. To improve the performance of conscripts while retaining their role as utility infantry that excel at shielding and supporting other units, we have added an upgrade to help them scale into the late game. The extra man and reduced reinforced costs will allow them to more effectively trade against opposing infantry, while the veterancy bonus will help fresh conscript squads gain veterancy. New squad upgrade available after mechanized armor company is deployed. Mobilized reserves. Increases squad size by 1. Reduces squad reinforced cost to 17, so from 20 usually. And increases veterancy gain by 20%. Takes up 1 weapon slot, costs 50 munitions. So 7-man conscripts after tier 4 will be available. This is a general upgrade, not specific to the paratrooper commander. So give some conscripts some more late game. So we know how strong 5-man Tommies are. Obviously this is a much smaller upgrade, going from 4 to 5 models versus 6 to 7. So you don't expect to see that large of a power spike. But gives some viability, especially if you've gone for a conscript start. They'll still be very useful for merge. They'll be quicker at building sandbags, and because they do build those big sandbags, even all 7 models will be able to fit behind them. Me personally, I'm wondering like about the munitions cost. Maybe this would be better as like a global upgrade that costs fuel and manpower. But I'm excited about 7-man conscripts. I think they're going to be very hard to kill. Very, very hard to kill. And yeah, with the reduced reinforcement cost, you won't feel quite so bad just like flinging them at your opponent and losing a few models. So I quite like this upgrade. It's hard to find room for conscripts. That's the thing at the moment. Like some people are like, oh man, just give them an SVT upgrade. Well, I mean, first off, you can use this paratrooper commander if you want to do that. But second off, like that just makes the overlap with penals like so high that it doesn't really make that much sense. Or other people want DP upgrades. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want LMGs on every mainline infantry squad. That's like really boring. So this forges a different path for conscripts, keeping their utility role, being able to snare, build sandbags, merge even more effectively. I think this one's promising. I quite like the idea. Okay, so first test, 7-man conscripts. First look at them, just raw dog, no veterancy. This is unlikely, but maybe once you've rebuilt them or something, running into some grenadiers behind heavy cover here. No URA, just raw dog running in. So I didn't see any like really absurd model drops or anything like that during this engagement. It looks like pretty indicative of how this would generally go. So the extra model, you might just like lose it on the way in, and then once you get in close, pretty close to an even firefight. So you still will want to use URA in these scenarios if possible. Okay, so now unvetted 7-man cons URAing in against LMG grenadiers behind heavy cover. Spot them, URA. Model on the way in. Oh man, these conscripts are not hitting anything here. I think conscripts ran quite badly there. Once the grenadiers got to 2 models, they barely did any damage in so many bursts. But URA seemed to be pretty similar performance to just running in without URA against a non-LMG squad. So you do definitely want to be using URA to close distance against the LMG squad, if possible. Okay, so now Vet 3 conscripts URAing in against Vet 3 LMG grenadiers. Conscripts get a lot of good veterancy bonuses. Pretty convincing performance here for the Vet 3 conscripts. Pretty easy win, I would say. Seems like maybe they ran a little bit good against the LMG grenadiers there, but either way, you can see there the performance of these 7-man conscripts. Very strong when you use URA. I mean, that's like ideal scenarios for grenadiers. Behind heavy cover, conscripts using URA to close the distance, but they can do that any time. So yeah, you can see the strength there of the Vet 3 conscripts. Because they get such good bonuses with veterancy, they are really lethal. So here we have 7-man no vet conscripts against P-Greens, try and close the distance. Not ideal for the P-Greens having to close the distance like this. We've got 2 models of bleed on the way in. Yeah, they just dropped a little bit too much on the way in, and conscripts getting a little bit lucky on the model drop. But yeah, with P-Greens it's going to be tricky to engage these conscripts. Oh, P-Greens bring it back. Oh, they narrowly win that. That was a nail biter. But yeah, easily could have gone the other way. But I think conscripts did get a little bit lucky with the mod drops. Either way though, you can see the strength of the 7-man conscripts can hold their own against P-Greens, closing the distance. Okay, so here come the P-Greens. Closing the distance against the Vet 3. There's a Vet 2 P-Greens, so maybe this is a somewhat realistic scenario. Man, you can't see the health because of that flag. Okay, so now conscripts win this. So yeah, you can see the strength of, I mean that was against Vet 2 P-Greens. Maybe this is a scenario you get the conscripts out earlier, they'll be vetted up to Vet 3 earlier. So this is a somewhat realistic test running against the Vet 2 P-Greens, and as I mentioned, those Vet 3 bonuses on the conscripts, you can see them all down there. They're numerous and they make them very strong. So 7 men with Vet 3 is very powerful, don't underestimate it. Conscript AT grenade package, fuel costs from 25 to 10. This is a ginormous boost here. This is like crazy. This will make conscripts just so much better against light vehicles. This is like such a big buff to conscripts, the AT grenade package. I can't understate that enough. And also, I forgot to mention on these that conscripts at the moment only have 1 weapon slot. So if you go for the 7-man upgrade, you won't be able to pick up drop weapons, as far as I'm aware. And you can't get 7-man conscripts as well as PPSHs or as well as PTRS. You can't stack the upgrades together. Thought that was worth mentioning. M5 half-track. The M5 is receiving a small number of changes to improve its role as a support vehicle. So cost going down, 30 manpower less. M2HB quad mount, moving burst from 0.5 to 0.75. So when it's on the move, at the moment it's only doing bursts that are half as long. So now it's going to be 3/4 as long, so it should do more damage whilst on the move. Quad mount fire accuracy from 0.1 to 0.125, so it's going to be a little bit better at absolute max range. Quad mount burst duration from 1/5 to 1.5/2. Seems like a massive change. I don't know, did it used to do 5-second long bursts? Maybe I just never noticed that. But now it's going to be doing different bursts, much shorter potentially, but you never get that super crazy low roll of 1-second bursts. Quad mount cost from 100 to 90. There's just a wee tickle to the quad, which is only really used as AA at the moment in team games. It used to be like all dominating when it was like suppressing, really good on the move. So just a few wee tweaks to it, maybe to make it slightly more viable as using, don't want to push it way over the top. But maybe you'll get it these days, maybe for AA and use it in combat. Well, I'll have to wait and see. Okay, so here's the revised quad. I'm going to try this at long range. Okay. So close to first burst suppression there, I'd say max range, which is nice. That's what you want if you're getting a half track like this. Like it seems like if you kill a model, maybe you won't get first burst suppressed, but otherwise you will. And then it doesn't do much damage whilst the units are suppressed because of the bonuses from suppression. So for a good chunk of time there, you know, while they were suppressed, it doesn't do much damage. And then, of course, once they've been pinned for 10 seconds, that's when those suppression and pin bonuses get removed, and then they get really shredded after that. So yeah, the long range performance there does seem to be more consistent, more useful as a suppression platform, I would say now, than previously. So yeah, it does look a lot more promising. Okay, so now we're going to test the on the move performance of the quad. Shouldn't be able to suppress whilst on the move, but should be a little bit better. Just going to drive around in circles around here. So as you can see, well, to me it looks like the on the move performance is worse than, say, a 222, something like that, like by a decent chunk, maybe even worse than a 221. But can actually suppress. I didn't think that was possible whilst it was on the move. Not sure if that's a bug, but yeah. Its on the move performance is buffed, but you're still not going to want to use it on the move basically at all. It'll just give you a little bit of assistance maybe as you're trying to retreat or reposition it, but you certainly want to be using the quad whilst it's stationary, because as you can see here, its on the move performance is still not that desirable. Su-76 is receiving a number of slight changes to improve its role against light and medium vehicles, with only a slight reduction against heavy tanks. Accuracy from 0.05 blah blah blah. Okay, so it's getting better mid and significantly better far accuracy. So this should mean that it hits medium tanks and light vehicles at max range much more often. Penetration going down by 20 at all range. I believe the Panzer IV has 180 armor, the Austria one, the standard one. So point blank, 100% chance to pin that still. But at max range, you've got a slight chance to bounce, you know, maybe like about 10%, a little bit more. And then rotation rate from 30 to 32, so similar to the Stug. It's going to be able to rotate a little bit more quickly, thanks, because it doesn't have a turret. So yeah, better against light and medium tanks, worse against heavy tanks. If you want to fight heavy tanks, get the Su-85. Yeah, I'm fine with these changes. They're pretty minor. I think the Su-76 is pretty good. Just doesn't see that much play at the moment because a lot of people are just going for double this. But the thing with the Su-76, well, like double this, I find it's quite hard to kill your opponent's tanks unless they make a mistake, getting snared, running over a mine or something like that, or getting caught by AT guns and camouflage, something like that. But if you have a Su-76 to, you know, chase in, get those 1 or 2 extra shots for the kill, the Su-76 and this combo are much more likely to kill your opponent's medium vehicles. So, but yeah, you just don't see them in the meta that much at the moment. But maybe you will now that they're better at fighting off the mediums. M42 45mm anti-tank gun. The range on canister rounds is being reduced to increase infantry-based counterplay against groups of M42 anti-tank guns. Canister range from 50 to 30. So, I don't know if you guys have been paying much or watching streams or seeing some tournaments, but quite common in 1v1s and in team games to see multiple M42 AT guns. And that wasn't really the intention, because if you go for like 2 or 3 of them, they can counter your opponent's light vehicles, switch them to the canister rounds, counter the infantry, counter the machine guns, basically countering everything. So the canister range is being greatly reduced. So now it won't be able to outrange machine guns. It will just be like more of a stopgap measure if your opponent's really trying to hammer you. So this is a big nerf to the canister rounds, but these have really been a massive headache in terms of people spamming them. It's definitely been a problem. So here's a quick demonstration of the M42's range. So there it is on the standard anti-tank mode, 60 range all the way out to the cart there. I'm going to switch over to the canister rounds, newly reduced range. So here it is at 30, so half as long as before. So big nerf to the range. Most infantry can shoot at and see at 35 range, so infantry will be able to outrange it slightly. So it's going to make it a lot harder to use the canister rounds. Still going to be effective. You can still use it sometimes, but the switching time, the load, switching from AP to AI is going to be costly, as well as just being closer to use them. So it's going to be a lot harder to use canister rounds in short. OKW general faction changes. Kugelwagen is receiving mobility and veterancy changes to allow it to escape from other light vehicles such as the M3 and gain veterancy without needing to be on the front line, where its light armor and low health are liabilities. Rotation from 40 to 46, so it's going to be able to turn really quickly now. Speed from 7 to 7.6, and at that value I think it will be able to outrun the M3. I think the M3 is 7.3 on speed, so M3 will be able to keep up for a long time, but if you back away, at least it won't be able to catch up to you these days. Now gains shared veterancy. So what shared veterancy is if the Kubel is fighting alongside infantry, it will get a percentage of the infantry's veterancy. I believe it's for free. I don't think it steals it away. I think it just gains it normally. So should vet up more rapidly. Might see the Vet 5 Kubel a little bit more often after these changes. But yeah, the speed bonus is going to make it even stronger for capping. And yeah, we'll be able to outrun, I think, both the M3A1 light car from Soviets and the WC-51. Maybe not WC-51 if it's using overdrive, but it's using a Vetter ability, whatever. Deal with it. LEI G18, we have reduced the significant veterancy requirements on the LEIG to match its current performance. Vet rate from a certain amount of values to this is a good chunk less, maybe like 30% less veterancy or so. So the infantry support guns should vet up a lot more quickly, which is fair enough. I think it's pretty hard. I very rarely see them go past Vet 2. So there we go. Should be able to vet up your infantry support guns a lot more easily. The marked faction balance adjustments in relation to version 4.0. So Oswin's getting tweaked. It was mentioned in the last patch notes that it was probably going to be tuned down a little bit, but here we go. Due to the tank's increased rate of fire, we are capping the tank's AoE to lower its impact against grouped up infantry. AoE can now only hit 2 models max per squad. That's a pretty big nerf. This is one that I personally don't really understand what the impact is, so we're going to have to find this one out through testing. Okay, so here's the performance of the revised Flak Panzer. Can only shoot 2 models at a time. They still choose through a squad of conscripts pretty quickly. It doesn't seem that much worse than the previous version or previous patch in this scenario out in the open, so still looks more powerful than the current Ostwind, but not like hugely more powerful. But I guess we'll see the difference maybe once units are more clumped up. Flak Panzer against units clumped behind light cover now. Still seems very similar performance to actually out in the open. Probably thanks to the model count cap on the number of units it can damage. Didn't seem that much stronger than out in the open, honestly. So flak Panzer against units on the wrong side of heavy cover this time. Still very, very fast. Still very, very fast on the wrong side of heavy cover. Previously, I think against the 5-man rifles, it was like one model still alive after the end, so actually pretty similar performance overall. Yeah, it still looks very strong in most scenarios. Out in the open, seem to be where it's as weakest though. There doesn't seem to be that much more powerful, I would say, than the current Ostwind out in the open. And then Panzer Grenadiers, a small change to the unit meant to allow Panzer Grenadiers return to the field more quickly after engagements. Reinforced time from 8.5 to 7, so you reinforce them more quickly. And build time also going down by 6 seconds. So Panzer Grenadiers hit the field a little bit earlier and reinforce a little bit faster. I didn't get to play around with these builds too much, going for Panzer Grenadiers earlier on, but you guys let me know below what you guys think of these changes. So that's it, guys, and as always, I implore you to play the mod, get out there, give it a test for yourself, because that's the most fun way to do it. But until next time, goodbye and good luck. A special thank you goes out to my Patreon backers and donators to help make videos like this possible.